Hey guys, this is Hector again, and this is Business Mind. If you're new to the channel, as always, consider subscribing. This is a channel where we talk about business tips and tricks for you to grow your wealth and maybe obtain financial independence. Today we're going to talk about equity. What is equity and why is equity so important? All right, this is going to be a short one and hopefully a really clear one, because I thought, if we're going to be talking and discussing about business and financial education here, we might as well first need to understand what we're talking about, terminology. And equity is one of those terms that you're going to encounter very often if you're in this business world. What equity is, in short, is just the current value of an asset, a possession, or a property after its debts and liabilities have been paid off. Now you can think of equity this way, for instance. Let's say here that Mark has bought a property for $100,000. He had been saving up and he had $20,000 saved up in his bank account ready to put as a down payment or just to put it towards real estate. So he goes to the bank and he tells them that he's willing to put a 20%, which is normally what they would ask you, of the total value of the property. So he puts $20,000 towards the down payment. Now, he got this mortgage now worked out for, let's say, $700 a month. Now, he owns this property. He's got a loan for $100,000. And at this very moment in time, the market value of this house is $100,000 also. What that means is Mark's equity at this very moment is zero, because the market value of the house is $100,000 and he's paying $100,000 for that house. Now, let's say now that it's been 5 years since Mark bought this house, and hopefully the market has gone up in value. What that means is the house is no longer worth $100,000, but now it's worth, let's say, $130,000. Now you got to remember, the Mark who bought this property 5 years ago, he's only paying $100,000 for this house, and he's only paying $700 a month for the mortgage on this house. But now this house is worth much more. So what that means is Mark's equity has gone up $30,000, which is pretty much the difference between the current value of that property and the amount of debt that Mark owns on this property. That's exactly what equity is. And that's saying that Mark's net worth is $30,000 at this very moment. Now, why is it so important that we understand this concept and we have it clear in our minds? Well, it is important because if you understand equity, you can leverage it and you can speed up this process. How? Well, now let's say in this same example, let's say that Mark didn't buy this property for $100,000, but instead he found that this property needed a little bit of work. Let's not say a little bit. Let's say that this property needed some work. So instead of the price of this house being $100,000 because of all the work that needed to be done to it, this house was only priced on $50,000. Now, Mark still only has $20,000 to put towards real estate. So in this case though, Mark will go to the bank and only put a down payment of $10,000, which is still 20%, but now instead of $100,000, only $50,000, right? So now Mark got this house for $10,000 down payment and $50,000 total cost of the house, and he's worked out a mortgage of, let's say, around $400. Well, Mark still has $10,000 extra to invest in this house and some work that he's willing to do, right? So he does that. Now let's say that Mark has worked on this house and has invested those extra $10,000 that he had towards this house. He's put the work onto it and he manages to fix up this house and get it in shape and at the max of his total market value, which is $100,000, because it's still the same property. It needed some work to be done to it. Now in just 1 year, Mark's equity has gone up $50,000. Why? Because now he worked on this house. This house is ready and fixed up in a market which current value is $50,000 for this house. He's gotten all this equity in just 1 year. If he were to sell out this house, he'd be making or cashing $40,000 worth in profit. And that's exactly what house flippers do. They buy houses undervalued because they need some work, and they fix them up, they flip them, of course, and then they reappraise them, they get that extra equity, and they get more money from it. So that is the importance of equity and understanding how to use it. If you use it right, if you do it right, you can leverage it for your advantage and your benefit. So I really hope, guys, you enjoyed it. This is it for today. I told you it was going to be a short one, but hopefully it was a really clear one if you learned something today. If you did learn something, please consider subscribing. Hit it, smash it, or lick it if you want. But guys, subscribe to the channel. It's going to help us a lot to grow it and continue doing and making these videos about financial education so you can grow your wealth and get to financial independence. This has been Hector, and guys, I will see you in the next one.